and gentlemen, tonight, direct from the Human Sexual Response Laboratory in St. Louis, Missouri, the only man in recorded history to ever undergo a numeric mutation resulting in multiple testicles, Doug Clark with his famous 9 hot nuts. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
I ain't got my cherry, but I got the box it came in.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. Did you hear about the seamstress for pregnant women? She's a mother frocker. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
They've had old fashion and dog fashion for years. Now they've got turkey fashion. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
You don't say. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. My dog has a split personality. He hates cats, but he loves pussy. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
Old King Cole was a merry old soul. The reason was he had a 12-inch pole.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
Mary had a little sheep, and with the sheep she went to sleep. The sheep turned out to be a ram. Mary had a little lamb.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. You know the difference between a mountain goat and a goldfish? A mountain goat goes mucking around the fountain.
Oh, so a goldfish goes, oh yeah.
You got the idea. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. You know the difference between a 3-ring circus and a college sorority? A circus is an array of cunning stunts.
And a sorority is an array of stunning. Oh, yeah.
You get it. Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
What word starts with an F and ends with the UCK?
You got me stumped there.
Fire truck.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. I bet you don't know the difference between a pygmy tribe and a girls' track team.
Nope, sure don't.
A pygmy tribe is a cunning bunch of runts.
So a girls' track team is a running bunch of...
You've got the idea.
Right.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said.
Mary had a little lamb. Its wool was soft and pink. One day a wolf came along. Now she has a mink.
Two old maids were laying in bed. One jumped up, and this is what she said. When I get a brand new hairdo and a new pair of shoes and a bag, I float on the air like clouds do. I enjoy being a fag. Two old maids were laying in bed. One Every morning at the school, you could see her arrive. She stood 5'2" and weighed 125. Kind of broad at the bust and wide at the hips. And everybody knew you didn't give any lips to big jugs.
jugs, big jugs.
Nobody seemed to know where Big Jugs called home. She just drifted into campus and stayed all alone. She was loud and boisterous, and you were in luck if you ever got to say, baby, let's to Big Jugs. Big Jugs, Big Jugs. Some people say she came from New Orleans, where a stud ripped off her tight blue jeans and covered her mouth with his big right hand just before he entered the promised land of Big Jugs. Big Jugs, Big Jugs. Then came that day in a counting class when Rumper walked over and pinched her ass, pulled down the blinds and locked the door, and everybody thought he'd hit the floor with Big Jugs. Big Jugs, Big Jugs. Through the sweat and steam of that man-made heat, Rumper opened his fly and whipped out his treat, grabbed a sagging arm and ripped off her dress, put his legs in her back and began to caress those big jugs. Big jugs, big jugs. Then all at once he gave a mighty twist and yelled out, class dismissed, and 20 guys screamed, you had enough. Let a man in there who knows his stuff with big jugs. Big jugs, big jugs. With tongues hanging out, they grabbed that whore. Then came that moan from down on the floor, and came a loud noise and then a crack, and everybody knew they had broke the back of Big Jugs. Big Jugs, Big Jugs. Now they never rescheduled that worthless class where Rumper had gotten his first piece of ass. These few words are written on the door. In the center of this room lies one hell of a whore. Big jugs, big jugs, big fat jugs, big jugs, big jugs, big jugs, big fat jugs. There was an old lady lived over the hill. She had good beer and ale to sell. She had a daughter, her name was Sis. She kept her home to welcome her guests. A soldier boy came riding by. He called for drinks so plentify. When a glass was out, he called for another. He kissed her daughter before their mother. When night came on, to bed they went. It was with the mother's own consent. Said she, what is this so stiff and warm? It's just my horse, he will do you no harm. Said she, what is this hangs under his chin? It's the bag he keeps his horse food in. Said he, what is this? Says she, 'tis a well where your good horse can drink his fill. And what if my horse should chance to fall in? Catch hold of the grass that grows on the brim. And what if that should chance to fail? Shove him in by the head, pull him out by the tail. An oversexed rabbit named Hank made a play for a 20-ton tank. His order was futile, the result was quite brutal, for his nuts hit the floor with a clink.
A young Burl shepherd named Rex was considered a master at sex. By a queen he was dating, her ladies in waiting, and his sheep who were all nervous wrecks. There was a young man from Purdue whose betrothal was long overdue. He assured her, no matter, we'll wed when you're fatter, then caught the next plane to Peru.
While bathing, a student named Hume read a novel called Sex in the Gloom. On arising, the dope skidded once on some soap and pole vaulted right out of the room.
A covered young dolly named Sharon said, "Why are all the bystanders staring? I think you're real sweet banging me in the street, so what if they stare? I ain't caring." A penurious Frenchman named Brie had monkey glands put in for free. Now his smile is quite right, for he spends every night making love while he swings from a tree.
There was an old whore of King's Bluff who said, I have had quite enough of men who are 30 and 40 and 50. What I need is that greasy kid stuff.
A speedy young swimmer named Block was the fastest away from the dock. He broke records galore till he found what he wore, an electric eel stuffed in his jock. There was a wild youth from Fort Sumter, lured a gal up the creek and then jumped her, whistling Dixie the while in a rock and roll style, all the time that his love muscle pumped her.
I wish that all girls were like bricks in a pile, and I were a mason, I'd lay them in style. Oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, roll your leg over. It's better that way.
I wish that all girls were like blades of grass, and I were a Moor, I'd cut me some.
Oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, roll your leg over. It's better that way. I wish that all girls were like statues of Venus, and I were a sculpture with a petrified. Oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, roll your leg over. It's better that way.
I wish that all girls were like bats in a steeple, and I was a bat that beat more bats than people. Oh,
roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, roll your leg over. It's better that way. Ladies and gentlemen, the name of this number is Canal Street. It has a tricky phrase in it that goes something like this. You got damp and something bit you. This is the way the hot nuts do it.
I was walking down Canal Street, knocking every door. You goddamn something, bitch, I couldn't find a whore. I finally found a whore. She was tall and thin. You goddamn something, bitch, I couldn't get it in. I finally got it in and worked it all about. You goddamn something, bitch, I couldn't get it out. I finally got it out, and it was red and sore. The moral of the story is to never prove with a whore.
Since we're here, we may as well get one more drink before we leave. No need rushing.
Yeah, man, I could use another one.
Put another quarter in that jukebox there. Let's get some background music here.
Got that. You know, I was walking down the street the other day. This guy was telling me some of the new jokes that he's heard. He asked me, said, what has more power than the hydrogen bomb? A Kotex. It keeps the Reds in, the Poles out, the Greeks greased, and the French hungry.
You know, I was watching, after Peyton Place went out the other night, I was watching this show, this new TV series, the 69th Precinct, where all the dicks hang out.
You're too good. Mommy, what's that? It hangs from daddy like a baseball bat. Shut your mouth, you little brat. That's what made your mommy fat. Is that snazzy enough for you?
It's all right. You know, intercourse does women good. I wish more of them would. It spreads their thighs, brightens their eyes, and gives their tails some exercise.
You know what they did? They crossed an elephant with a hooker and got a 2-ton call girl who would do it for peanuts.
Oh, shoot.
Top that.
You know, Pete Peters, a star fullback over at State, broke his leg in a scrimmage 2 days before the big game. Friday, the local paper carried a big headline, "Team will play without Peters." After the dean raised hell about it, they changed the headline, "Team will play with Peters out." I ain't got over that one yet.
You know, Cousin Charlie was expelled from the swimming club for tinkling in the pool. Well, that's ridiculous, we told him. All of us have done that before. Charlie said, yeah, from the high diving board.
Sound like Jack. This little 6-year-old cowboy, 6 guns and all, went into a drugstore and told a girl at the soda bar he wanted a cherry pecan sundae. As she prepared it, she inquired, "Do you want your nuts crushed?" The little boy whipped out his pistol and cried, "Do you want your tits shot off?"
The doctor was gently massaging the trick knee of his curvaceous young patient. And the doctor inquired, said, "What's a joint like this doing in a nice girl like you?"
That's kind of slow,
You gotta be on the ball to catch it.
Yeah.
Do you know how to brainwash a woman?
Nah.
Stump on a douchebag.
Oh, yeah. You know what, the drive-in theater manager decided if business got any worse, he's gonna have to start showing movies.
Look here. The old man came home and Johnny asked, said, "Daddy, can you go to heaven with your feet in the air?" The old man said, "I don't know, son. Why?" Johnny explained, "Well, I came home today and Mom was laying on the floor with her feet in the air and she was hollering, 'Holy Moses, I'm coming.' And you know, she might have if Uncle Joe hadn't been holding her down." Two little girls about 6 years old put on their mother's clothes, high heel shoes and all, and went down to the corner drugstore and climbed up on the soda fountain stools, and one said to the other, said, "I think I'll have a strawberry sundae with nuts." The other said, "I think I'll have a dish. Mother says they're so refreshing."
Oh, God. I know you know some more. Tell me some more.
I don't know. There's a guy walked in the bar and demanded 2 quart containers full of martinis, explaining that his girlfriend wasn't properly dressed to come in. "You're too drunk," the bartender said. I said, "You think I'm drunk?" I said, "You ought to see my girlfriend. She's got her stockings on her arms and her hair's all down in her face, and every time I kiss her, she goes poop, and man, you ought to get a load of her breath." A bunch of dogs were all lined up, and another dog came along, got at the end of the line. He waited and waited, and nothing happened. So he spoke to the dog in front of him, saying, "Ain't this a bitch?" The dog answered, "It better be. I've been in this line for an hour already." A lusty young smith at his vice stood a fowling, his hammer laid by, but his forge still aglow. When to him a buxom young damsel came smiling, and asked if to work at her forge he would go. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, hi-ho. "I will," said the smith, and they went off together. Along to the young damsel's forge they did go. They slipped to go to it, 'twas hot work and hot weather. She kindled a fire and she soon made him blow. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, hi-ho. Her husband, she said, no good work could afford her. His strength and his tools were worn out long ago. The smith said, "Well, mine are in very good order, and now I am ready my skill for to show." Jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. Jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, oh. Red hot grew his iron as both did desire, but he was too wise not to strike whilst was so. Said she, "What I get out of the fire." Then please, sir, strike home, then redouble the blow. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, hi-ho. 6 times did his iron by vigorous heating grow soft in the forge in a minute or so. And often was hard and still beating and beating, but the more it was softened, it hardened more slow. Jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. Jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, hi-ho. The smith had to leave, said the girl full of sorrow. "Oh, what would I give could my husband do so? Good lad, with your hammer, please come back tomorrow. But please won't you use it once more before you go?" With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle. With a jingle bang, jingle bang, jingle, hi-ho. When his daddy told young Willie Blum how and where new babies come from, Willie sneered, "For 2 years I've been humping Sue Mears, and she's had no kid. Papa, you done."
There's a sad Sue in New York who is hourly awaiting the stork. She wishes to state that on her next date she would definitely wear a tight coat. Arabella's a terribly prude. She said, and I quote, "Men are lewd. A girlie must watch, or her hands in her crotch, and the next thing she knows, she is screwed."
A luscious young trollop named Burks, employed in our local sex works, attracted the mayor, the judge, a surveyor, and a newsboy who normally jerks.
There was a young lady named Flo whose lover had pulled out too slow. So they tried it all night till they got it just right. Well, practice makes pregnant, you know.
There was a young girl from Sophia who succumbed to her husband's desire. Said she is a sin, but now that it's in, could you shove it up a little bit higher? There was an old geezer named Meeker whose sex urge grew weaker and weaker. What he once used at nights to give women delights ended up as old Meeker's limp leaker. A husky young fellow named Strong was hung with a mighty big throne. Said he with a grin, it's a strain getting in, but once it's in, it sure rings a gong. There was a young lady named Gloria whose boyfriend said, may I explore you? She replied to the chap, I will draw you a map of where others have been to before you.
I have a little poem here, and the name of it is Everybody But Me. At the bottom of the hill, there's a little store where we buy our groceries. And in this store, they sell chewing gum called Everybody But Me. That's really not its name, of course. I've nicknamed it that, you see, 'cause everybody chews the stuff. That is, everybody but me. I send my wife down to the store to get some honey and tea. All the time I know in my heart she's going down for everybody but me. A couple of hours later she returns from the store, returns back home to me. Her lips are raw and her tongue is sore from blowing that chewing gum, everybody but me. The flavor's not the reason I hate chewing the gum. It's quite tasty, actually. The thing that burns me most of all, she goes to bed with everybody but me. She goes down for everybody but me. She blows that gum, everybody but me. She goes to bed with everybody but me. Poor me.
Okay, let's loosen up a bit now. Now let's dance some now. That'll get it. That'll get it. That's got it.